Look, the one thing that I would say, and I know that the administration is doing a good job of getting this out, but here's what I wish we did more of in terms of turning the tables. Dan brought this up yesterday in terms of how the Democrats would respond. But I just want someone to tell me right now. I mean, these are the charts that they gave out at the White House yesterday. The EU charges on average 39% tariff rate. Okay, what is our goal? What is I mean, you can go down the list. China 67, Vietnam 90, Taiwan 64, Japan 46, India 52. Those are the average. Some products are much higher. In India, it's over 100. Are we just going to keep letting this happen? I mean, is the answer just, you know what? Just keep kicking the can down the road. Let U.S. manufacturing go. Let us keep getting, keeping our service providers, our financial services, our manufacturers, our ranchers and farmers from having market access. Because it seems to me that that's the alternative that everyone else poses. What Donald Trump is doing is actually fighting for the first time. And it's going to cause disruption. And if you kid, I watched Hakeem Jeffries out there called, this isn't Liberation Day, this is Recession Day. All right, then you go tell those farmers and ranchers that they're not going to get access to those markets. You tell the manufacturers, you tell the service providers that, again, but at some point, this is like the debt and the deficit. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be painful. And either somebody stands up and does the right thing by America, or we sit back and just keep kicking the can down the road for another decade or two.
The only difference, though, Sean, the only argument I'd have with that is there are numerous sectors of the United States economy that have benefited mightily from the global free trade system of the last 30, you can even argue 60 years. Now, the flip side is some have not, and it's primarily U.S. manufacturing. And that is should be a super important part of this country. And any industry that suffers, we should always be asking, how do you fix it? But to argue that a lot of services industries, the technology sector, the financial services, the pharmaceutical, on and on and on, have not benefited mightily from free trade would be incorrect.
But again, I will tell you this, having done it for 3 years.
We have barriers.
Right.
We have trade barriers.
But no. First of all, we are the easiest market to trade in. We have the lowest. Absolute, Dan. I was the assistant U.S. trader for 3 years. We have the lowest tariff barrier of any country. That's a fact.
In most instances, we do, but that is not true that we don't subsidize stuff. That is not true that we don't. I mean,
okay, but if you want to, those are non-tariff barriers. If you want to get into that, great. Then we'll go into the VAT. We'll go into GMOs. But the bottom line is, Sean, but at some point,
you're both right. We're the easiest to trade with, and we have some barriers.
But at some point, when is it that we're going to stand up for these guys? Because right now, our industrial base is shrinking. We're not giving market access, and we're allowing other people to have unfettered access. We can keep doing nothing, or we can stand up. But this goes back to everything else, the debt, the deficit, all these other issues where we can keep kicking the can down the road. Social Security, let's just do nothing. Let's wait till someone else has to go bankrupt and deal with it. But at some point, doing real things, exhibiting leadership is going to be tough. And either we can do nothing, or we can.
But Sean, the question is, do you lift up that bottom third that's been a huge loser without harming the other 2/3? And that is your
right. And I do think that
gamble.
We've tried in the past with trade adjustment assistance, which was a joke. So when factories closed, we gave them a pittance and said, "Hey, we'll retrain you to do something," which no one was going to do. So, and that was, by the way, that was from your side of the aisle. Yep. Which just so. At some point, we might want to try something different. We've tried to let people lose all their jobs in the factories. You heard Dave talk about that in Pennsylvania. I don't think whether it's South Carolina or Georgia, North Carolina and their furniture, everything has gone. And at some point, now, again, I have some issues with some of the tactics that have been used. But overall, the idea that we're finally standing up for people, to me, is something that we should be applauding on a bipartisan basis.